To start this, I'm going to talk about a fun fact. President Trump proposes to cut the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is SNAP, which is basically food stamps, by more than 230 million, no, not million, billion of dollars over the next 10 years. So that is a crazy amount of money, and it's definitely going to influence this industry a lot. And so I found this article talking about the White House stance on this. So, two quotes I found in this article are very shows the point of this article. The first one says that poverty rate fell from 30% in 1961 to 3% in 2016. The article claimed that we have already won the war against poverty started by President Lyndon Johnson many years ago, and therefore we should not spend so much money on food stamps for a very small population of poor people. And second, they also said that poor people could replace their government income with work income because, well, you should not depend on government so much. And I feel this is very Nozick's view because you want to respect other people's money. You want the rich taxpayers' money to be spent on somewhere else wise instead of helping these poor people, right? And then I think it's also very touching your fairness foundation because we all don't want to see people to gain things without working, and that's what they're exactly kind of doing by receiving government subsidies, right? But then the liberals also made a comeback. What they're arguing is that the poverty rate might be a lot higher than what the White House has announced because the poverty rate is a really arbitrary number. If you set the standards and factors differently, the outcome would be a lot more different. So, in fact, the poverty rate might be a lot higher than what the White House announced. And also, depending on our interview with Mr. Bentley and Mr. Julius and Mrs. Bentley, we found that they're still helping out like 100 families per week right now. And because 60 to 70% of the food they have right now comes from the government. If there's really such a budget cut, it means that they will receive a lot less food from the government, and therefore a lot less of the families will be able to get helped. So I think this is probably too much of a radical act, and I mean, probably shouldn't do it this early, I guess.